Hi, everybody. This is Miss Mutu, and welcome to another episode of Knowledge. Right now, we'll be learning more about habitats, lesson 6, and it's titled Animals of the Tropical Rainforest. Hope you enjoy. Look forward to seeing all your amazing work. Keep up the good job. So, before we can jump into a new habitat, let's talk about what we have already learned. Yesterday, we learned about the temperate deciduous forest habitat. Let's discuss the climate. So the climate is temperate, meaning there are 4 seasons which vary in temperature, and it rains throughout the year. Next section, water. It's rain/precipitation throughout the year. Ground. The ground is mostly shaded, covered with mosses and small plants. Plants. Plants include grasses, wildflowers, moss, and trees. Animals. Animals include squirrels, owls, black bears, deers, chipmunks, rabbits, and mice. Adaptation. Trees use broad leaves. Plants grow leaning in the same direction. Squirrels have strong back legs and sharp claws for climbing trees and moving from tree to tree. Owls have very good hearing and eyesight. Bears have sharp claws for stripping bark off trees to find insects, and deer's fur change colors. That's all the key information about our habitat from yesterday. Now, let's see if we can get some information about our new habitat. Let's look at a map. Here's some background information that we need to know about our new habitat in order to understand things about it. So here is a globe. The red line around the globe is the equator. I want you to take your finger and trace along the equator from side to side, from side to side. Good job. So an equator is an imaginary line around the center of the earth. In our globe, the equator is red. The land near the equator is usually very warm and stays warm all year around. So, I have a question. Would a temperate deciduous forest be found near the equator? Why or why not? Think about what you know about the rainforest and what you know about the equator. Remember, the equator is really, really hot. If you said yes, you are so close, but not quite. The answer is no, because a temperate deciduous rainforest has all 4 seasons, including winter with cold temperatures, so it can't be close to the equator. The next read aloud is about a different kind of forest that is located near the equator, where it is always warm and wet all year long. This type of forest is called a tropical rainforest. Say it with me, tropical rainforest. Good job. This particular rainforest Rattenborough will visit is called the Amazon rainforest and is located on the continent of South America. Take your finger out, point to the yellow spot on the map. That's South America. Fingers out. Good job. The Amazon rainforest covers about 1.4 billion acres in the following countries: Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Bolivia, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. As I'm reading, I want you to listen carefully to learn about one example of a tropical rainforest, the Amazon rainforest. Hello there, Rattenborough reporting from the fascinating habitat, a habitat that has the greatest variety of plants and animals of any habitat on Earth. Welcome to the tropical rainforest. Tropical places are warm and wet. A rainforest is thick forest of plants that stay green year-round. So, a tropical rainforest is warm, wet, thick forest of plants that stay green year-round. There are tropical rainforests in many places around the world close to the equator. But the one we are visiting today is called the Amazon rainforest. It is in South America and is the largest tropical rainforest on Earth. The Amazon rainforest is so dense, meaning so thick, that a rat like me could easily get lost. The plants in the tropical rainforest are thick because there are so many growing close together. Scrunch your body and pretend you're close together. Good job. It's hot and very humid here. Take out your hands and wave your hands in front of your face, like fanning yourself, to show that it's humid. The temperature is always very warm, and it rains heavily all year long. Because of the warm temperature and rain, the air feels wet or humid. My fur feels very wet and sticky, and it's a good thing that I brought my umbrella. There are between 8 and 240 inches of rain here every year. That makes this one of the wettest places you can find. Temperate deciduous forests, which you learned about last time, have broadleaf trees that lose all their leaves in the fall. The Amazon rainforest also has broadleaf trees, but the main difference is that most of the trees here stay green all year long. The evergreen trees in this tropical rainforest replace their leaves gradually throughout the year as the leaves age and fall, so that the trees always look green and never have bare branches like the trees in a temperate deciduous forest. Because the climate here is the same all year round, plants do not need to slow down for cold winter weather, and animals that live here always have a good supply of food all year round too. Take a look around. No, really, take a look around and see what you notice here. The trees in the rainforest are so tall that they grow as tall as 13-story buildings, or as tall as a very, 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 very tall building in a large city. And some grow much taller than that. I'm standing in a tree right now, and as you see, the trees grow so thick and so close together here that from above you can only see a canopy of thick green leaves. You can't see the forest floor at all. In a tropical rainforest, the canopy is the top layer of the forest formed by branches and leaves at the top of the trees. So point to the canopies. Good job. Point to another canopy. Good. Point to one more. Good. Yep. If you point it at the top of the trees, you're doing a great job. Because the sunlight can't get through the canopy of leaves, everything under them is really dark. I brought a flashlight to help me see down there. The plants in the Amazon forest have adapted to this climate in many ways. Because it's so dark in the rainforest underneath the canopy, most plants have large leaves so they can catch as much light as possible. Many of the plants have waxy leaves with ends that are tapered or that get smaller near the ends. Point to the tip of this plant. Notice how it's smaller at the end. Good job. To help the water drip off of them, like the water running off an umbrella. Types of vines grow in the rainforest. Vines are climbing plants that grow on trees or wind themselves around tree trunks. Many animals use the vines growing among the trees almost like sidewalks and ladders to cross from one tree to another. The rainforest floor is a very shady place, which means that it is a good habitat for mosses and fungi that don't need much sunlight. If you can believe it, there are even some plants that don't need any light to grow. They grow on the forest floor and get their energy from the rotting leaves instead of sunlight. I'm way up in a particular type of tree found in the Amazon rainforest called a Ckla tree. Say it with me, Ckla tree. Your turn again, Ckla tree. Good job. So high that you won't be able to see me. The Ckla tree is one of the tallest trees around. The Ckla has a very long trunk. Point to the trunk. and its branches and leaves form a canopy. Now put your hands all the way to the top of the leaves. Yep, circling where you see a canopy. Excellent. Over the plants and animals below, making it a good shelter for animals like birds, snakes, and monkeys. There are many different kinds of animals that call the Amazon rainforest home. Many types of interesting and colorful birds, frogs, insects, reptiles, and other animals live in the trees and other plants of the tropical rainforest. These huge toucans use their large beaks to cut fruit from the branches and eat lizards, as well as other birds. Point to the toucan. It's on the right side of the image. Yep, that's the toucan. Hands back on your lap, eyes on the picture. Macaws, which are a kind of parrot, travel in groups and use their hooked beaks to break into hard nuts and fruits. Point to the macaw. If you pointed to the animal right under the frog, meaning the parrot, you did a good job. That's the macaw. And you don't want to get too close to the poisonous arrow frog, which has poisonous skin to protect it from its predators. I'm back in the kapok tree, one of the very tallest trees in the forest, to see what kind of animals call this habitat home. What is a habitat again? If you said a place where plants and animals live that has food, water, and shelter, you're an excellent explorer. Good job. Over there, I can see a squirrel monkey. The squirrel monkey is a very friendly little animal, and it shares a lot of things in common with the squirrels that live in the temperate deciduous forest. The squirrel monkey is very small and has a very long, thin tail that it uses to help balance. It has strong legs that it uses to jump up and run, and claws that help it climb up and down trees and vines. In fact, squirrel monkeys are so good at traveling by leaping and running along branches that they hardly ever touch the forest floor. The squirrel monkey is an omnivore. What is an omnivore? An omnivore is an animal that eats both plants and other animals. It eats insects, fruits, and flowers and spends most of its time during the day moving around the forest to find food. The squirrel monkey has excellent eyesight, which is useful for finding small insects, fruits, and berries growing among the green leaves of the tropical rainforest trees. Squirrel monkeys live in large groups, making it harder for their predators, eagles and snakes, to find them. Now, this monkey is acting a little strange, and experience has told me that this kind of behavior usually means there's trouble on the way. Aha! Yes, look who's coming. Some kind of snake. Snakes also tend to eat rats. Also, I'm going to climb a bit higher and take a look from a distance. Wow, look at the size of this snake. It's a boa constrictor, one of the many kinds of snakes that live in the Amazon rainforest. It's a pretty big snake. This one is about 13 feet long. Boas can have slightly different coloring and patterns, or repeated shapes or designs on their skin, but they are well camouflaged in the trees, plants, and vines of the forest. Take a second to look at it. What color is this boa constrictor? Yup, it's green, and its green color helps it blend in with trees and leaves. This boa constrictor, like all snakes, is a carnivore. It eats other animals such as bats, which are its favorite food, rodents, yes, that includes rats, lizards, birds, and even the small squirrel monkey. The boa constrictor is mostly nocturnal, so it comes out to hunt when it's getting dark, like now. Snakes can eat animals that are much bigger than they are. This boa's jaw can open very, very wide so that when it finds an animal to eat, even animals such as birds and squirrel monkeys, it can be able to swallow it whole, meaning in one bite. The boa constrictor is not the only carnivore in the rainforest. In fact, it will have to watch out that it doesn't become dinner for a hungry jaguar like this one. Jaguars look a lot like leopards. They have tan fur with dark spots, but they are bigger than leopards with shorter tails and legs and bigger heads and paws. This jaguar is about 7 feet long and probably weighs around 200 pounds. Jaguars are very well adapted to living in the rainforest. They have very sensitive hearing and an excellent sense of smell. A jaguar can see very well during the day and at night. All these things make it easier for it to find, stalk, and catch its prey. Stalk means to follow in a slow, quiet way in order to hunt and catch. I can barely hear the jaguar moving through the forest. That's because its paws are covered with very thick fur with pads on the bottom. Because they can travel so quietly, jaguars don't have to run far to catch their prey. So instead of having long legs for running, they have short, strong legs that are good for pouncing or suddenly attacking other animals from the ground, from trees or in water. A jaguar spends most of its day resting and goes out to hunt at night. It's also very good at climbing trees, which means I should get out of here before it's able to sniff me out. I've moved to the forest floor near the bottom of the Ckla tree because there's one last very interesting animal I want to show you. We'd better hurry. It's getting dark and I may have to use a magnifying glass to show you this animal. Look, over there. They are leafcutter ants. These ants burrow underground and make nests in groups called colonies. Different ants in the colony have different responsibilities. There are worker ants, soldier ants, and their queen. The worker ants are traveling to the Ckla tree nearby where they will use their sharp jaws to bite off pieces of the leaves to bring back to the nest. Did you know that ants can carry up to 10 times their own body weight? That's pretty amazing, isn't it? The soldier ants are there to protect the worker ants on their way to and from the nest. These ants spend most of their lives working for food. Nature is amazing, isn't it? Well, it's really quite dark now, and my fur has been sticking to me since we got here. So I think it's time to leave the hot and humid Amazon rainforest. We've learned a lot about this exotic habitat, its climate, and plants and animals that have their homes here. Now, for somewhere really different. The end. Hope you enjoyed the read aloud. Now that we're done reading the story, we're going to move on to our comprehension conversation. In this portion, Ms. Mutu will ask you a question, give you time to answer the question, then we'll go back into the text to see if our response was accurate. Get ready. Question number 1. What is a rainforest? Again, what is a rainforest? What is a tropical rainforest? Again, what is a tropical rainforest? Go ahead, answer the question. Now, let's go back into the text to see if we can add anything to our response. Tropical places are warm and wet. A rainforest is a thick forest of plants that stay green all year round. So a tropical rainforest is a warm, wet, thick forest of plants that stay green all year around. Next question. Why is it dark on the ground or floor of a tropical rainforest? Remember, you can always go back into the text. Why is it dark on the ground floor of a tropical rainforest? Okay, let's go back into the text to see if we can get some details for our response. The trees grow so thickly and so close together here that from above you can only see a canopy of thick green leaves. You can't see the forest floor at all. In a tropical rainforest, the canopy is the top layer of the forest formed by the branches and leaves at the tops of trees. Because the sun's light can't get through this canopy of leaves, everything under them is really dark. I brought a flashlight to help us see down there. Speaking of plants, next question. How have the plants adapted to live in the tropical rainforest? Okay, let's go back into the text to get more details for our response. The plants in the Amazon rainforest have adapted to the climate in many ways. Because it's so dark in the rainforest underneath the canopy, most plants have large leaves so they can catch as much light as possible. Many of the plants have waxy leaves, which with ends that are tapered or they get smaller at the ends to help the water drip off of them like the water running from an umbrella. This helps them receive water to their roots. Okay, let's move on to the next question. What animal is this? If you guessed a boa constrictor, that is correct. What food does a boa constrictor eat in the tropical rainforest? According to the text, boa constrictors eat small animals. Is the boa constrictor a carnivore, herbivore, or omnivore? Think about what the boa constrictor eats. If you said carnivore, that is correct because the boa constrictor eats other animals. Where do you think the boa constrictor might find shelter in the tropical rainforest? Anywhere else? The boa constrictor might find its shelter in the trees, under plants, or on the plant floor. Now let's move on and talk about another animal that we learned about today. Now we're going to move on to learning about the jaguar. What adaptations does a jaguar have in order to live in the tropical rainforest? You can always pause the video, go back into the text if you need more details. Go ahead. What's your response? Anything you want to add? Okay, let's go back into the text to get more specific information on the jaguar. Jaguars are very well adapted to living in the rainforest. They have very sensitive hearing and an excellent sense of smell. A jaguar can see very well during the day and at night. You can barely hear a jaguar moving through the forest. That's because its paws are covered with very thick fur with pads on the bottom. Because they can travel so quietly, jaguars don't have to run to catch their prey. So instead of having long legs for running, they have short, strong legs that are good for pouncing or attacking other animals on the ground. We're going to identify similarities and differences between the read-alouds. Animals of the tropical rainforest and animals of the temperate deciduous rainforest. How is the read-aloud about the tropical rainforest different from the read-aloud about the temperate deciduous forest? I'm going to post a chart from the deciduous rainforest habitat to help give you some ideas. Feel free to pause the video. Remember, you're comparing today's read aloud with yesterday's read aloud. In your response, include things like climate, weather, ground, plants, animals, and adaptations. Pause the video at any time to go back. some ideas that I had. In the deciduous rainforest, the climate has 4 seasons, and in the tropical rainforest, the climate is warm, wet, and humid. In the deciduous rainforest, they get their water from the rain, but in the tropical rainforest, I noticed they also get their water from heavy rain. In the ground, in the deciduous rainforest, it's mostly shady and covered, just like the ground in the tropical rainforest. Plants in the deciduous rainforest are grasses, wildflower, moss, and trees. And in the tropical rainforest, plants are very tall. They have kapok trees, vines, and mosses. Both habitats have animal adaptations or things that help animals survive. Those are just some of the ideas of how these habitats are similar and different.
In the read aloud, you heard, the trees grow so thickly and so close together here that from above you can only see a canopy of thick green leaves. Say the word canopy with me. Canopy. Say it again. Canopy. A canopy is the top layer of the forest formed by the branches and leaves at the tops of trees. A canopy is also something that hangs or spreads over something. There is a canopy over the front doors of the store. Have you ever seen a canopy? If so, where'd you see it? What did it cover? Can you think of times that it might be helpful to have a canopy? Try to use the word canopy when you tell me about it. For example, I saw a canopy covering a restaurant. It's useful to cover a restaurant because sometimes it's a lot of sun and it provides the customers with shade. Now you tell me, when have you seen a canopy? What did it cover? Where was it? Why was it helpful? What's the word that we've been talking about again? Canopy. Say it again. Yes, canopy. Now let's do a little activity. I will name 2 things. You will decide which one is similar to a canopy. Remember, a canopy is above a person or an object in order to cover it. To answer, say, blank is like a canopy. Get ready. The roof on a front porch or the floor of a house. Yep, the roof on the front porch is like a canopy. All right, next one. A tent or a doormat. A tent is like a canopy. Next one. A tree's roots or a tree's branches and leaves. A tree's branches and leaves are like a canopy. Last one. I think you're going to get this one. An umbrella or rain boots. An umbrella is like a canopy. Good job.
Let's review our habitat poster so we can get information for our journal. Climate is warm, wet, humid. Water, heavy rains. Ground, very shaded, covered with moss and fungi. Plants, very tall trees, kapok trees. Vines, mosses. Animals, toucans, macaws, squirrel monkeys, boa constrictors, jaguars, leafcutter ants. Adaptations. The trees gradually replace leaves throughout the year. Plants have large leaves to catch as much sunlight. Squirrel monkeys have strong legs for jumping and claws for climbing. Jaguars have sensitive hearing and excellent smell. Now, you are going to use this information to turn to your knowledge journal, to the page, this page, like the one I have above, and you are going to write 2 sentences about what you learned. While you're working, I'm going to share with you what I wrote for my journal. Today, I learned many things about the rainforest habitat.
I learned that the climate is wet and humid. I learned a lot about plants. Plants in the rainforest have large leaves to catch as much sunlight as possible. I look forward to seeing all your work. Please make sure that you upload your work to your student portfolio so your teachers can see it. Thank you so much for your time. You guys are amazing.
Now you know all you need to know about the tropical rainforest. Don't forget, upload your work to your student portfolio. Again, upload your work, your completed work to your student portfolio so your teacher can see it. Thank you. See you next time.